The desert sun was dipping low, painting the sky with molten gold, when Samuel Hargrove saw the first black column of smoke twisting into the wind. He'd just finished watering his horses, the dust of another lonely day clinging to his boots, when he heard it, a woman's scream. Faint, echoing, desperate. He froze, heart hammering. Then he heard it again, a cry torn between pain and terror, carried across the canyons by the evening wind. Without a second thought, Samuel grabbed his rifle, swung onto his mare Ember, and spurred her hard toward the smoke. The closer he rode, the thicker the air became, hot, dry, and bitter with the scent of burning timber. When he crested the ridge above Painted Mesa, his breath caught. Below, an Apache dwelling blazed like the mouth of hell, flames clawing at the twilight. And then he saw her. A woman, tall as any man, powerful as the land itself, stood before the inferno, her long black hair wild in the wind. She was trying to lift a fallen beam, her massive frame straining with raw strength and fear. Her voice broke through the roar, calling in a language Samuel didn't understand. But the meaning was clear. Someone was still inside. Samuel jumped from his horse and ran straight into the smoke. "Move," he shouted. The woman turned, startled by the sight of a white rancher charging toward her. But there was no time to question. Together they heaved the burning beam aside. Beneath it lay an older woman, barely breathing, her hair singed, her lungs fighting for air. They dragged her free just as the roof groaned and collapsed in a shower of sparks. The fire roared higher, consuming the last of the structure. The heat bit into their skin, and for a long moment, all they could do was breathe, the sound of survival ringing louder than the flames. The tall woman knelt, whispering to the elder in Apache. Then she looked at Samuel, eyes sharp, dark, unreadable. "You help her," she said, her English broken but sure. "You see," Samuel managed, still coughing. "But she needs air. My ranch isn't far." She hesitated, pride flickering behind her gaze. Then she nodded once. Together they carried the old woman across the burning horizon, the fire at their backs and the moon rising before them. Night had fallen by the time they reached Samuel's ranch. The air smelled of smoke and rain that wouldn't come. Samuel laid the older woman near his hearth, wrapping her in blankets, feeding her water. The tall woman stood by the doorway, wary and silent, like a wild creature caught between fear and gratitude. "You're safe here," he said gently. Her gaze flicked over the cabin, his tools, his worn Bible, the photograph of a wife and child long gone. Finally she spoke. "My name, Niley." He nodded. "Samuel Hargrove." Her eyes softened. "You brave man." He smiled faintly. "Just a fool who hates to see good folks burn." She tilted her head, studying him as if trying to measure his soul. "Fire test all men." "You—" "Not run," Samuel chuckled. "Didn't have time to." That night Samuel couldn't sleep. He sat on his porch watching the stars shimmer over the silent desert. Inside, he could hear Nayeli humming softly to her mother, her voice low and ancient, filled with sorrow and strength. For the first time in years, his loneliness felt less heavy. When he turned, she was standing in the doorway, her tall frame glowing in the firelight. "You good man," she said softly. "My people remember this." Samuel nodded, uneasy at the weight of her words. "Ain't looking to be remembered, ma'am. Just glad you're alive." She held his gaze for a long, still moment before turning away. The next morning, as dawn spilled across the plains, Nayeli walked outside, eyes fixed on the eastern horizon. "My father will come," she said quietly. Samuel frowned. "Your father?" She nodded. Chief, he bring request." Something in her tone sent a chill down his spine. By midday, Samuel heard the thunder of hooves. When he stepped onto his porch, his breath caught. Dozens of Apache riders rode toward his ranch, dust rising behind them like a storm. At their head was a man whose presence filled the world. Tall, gray-braided, chest decorated with eagle claws, his eyes dark as obsidian burned with pride and purpose. Niley stood waiting, motionless. When the riders halted, the old man dismounted and faced Samuel. "You are the man who saved my daughter." "Yes, sir," Samuel said slowly. "She and her mother." The chief's expression was unreadable. "For that we owe you. But a debt must always be balanced." Samuel frowned. "You don't owe me anything." The old man's voice dropped low. "My daughter's fire was no accident. White men burned her home. Soldiers come again to take land that holds our dead. You will stop them." Samuel blinked. "Me? I can't stop soldiers. They won't listen to me. Then die trying, the chief said simply. Better to burn for honor than to live in shame. Nayeli stepped forward, voice trembling. Father, no. But the chief didn't waver. He carries white blood. Let him speak for white men. Then he turned and rode away, his warriors vanishing into the horizon like ghosts. That night Samuel sat by the fire, his thoughts in turmoil. Nayeli's words echoed. Fire chose you for reason. And so before dawn he saddled Ember and rode out. He found the soldiers. Camp by midday. Rows of white tents spread like teeth across sacred ground. When the guards raised rifles, Samuel raised his hands. I come in peace. The lieutenant in charge, young and smug, asked coldly, What's your business, rancher? Samuel told him straight. You're building on Apache burial land. If you do this, you'll start a war that'll scorch us all. The officer laughed. Orders are orders. Savages have no claim here. Samuel's eyes hardened. They have more claim than any of us. The lieutenant waved him off. You'd best ride home, cowboy. Before I decide you're with them. Samuel turned his horse, fury burning in his chest. As he rode away, he could feel the weight of destiny pressing down on him. When he reached the ranch, Nayeli was waiting. Her face told her what words could not. They will come, she whispered. He nodded. Then I'll stand with you. Her hand touched his chest. You not Apache, she said softly, but fire burned same in your heart. Their eyes met, and something wordless passed between them. A bond forged in flame, destined for sacrifice. Somewhere beyond the mesa, thunder rumbled, not from the sky, but from the hooves of soldiers riding toward their land. And Samuel Hargrove knew the fire he had saved her from was not the one that would test him. That fire was coming. If this story set your heart racing and your soul burning for more, don't just scroll away. Hit subscribe, tap that bell icon, and join us for the next chapter. Where courage meets destiny, love defies borders, and one man's stand will ignite a legend across the wild frontier.